This is Toledo Symphony Lab, a behind-the-scenes look at the world of classical music from WGTE Public Media and your Toledo Symphony. I'm Brad Cresswell. Joining me today are the Toledo Symphony's president and CEO, Zach Vassar, principal second violin and artistic administrator, Merwin Sue, the TSO's marketing director, Felicia Canny, and we have a very special guest back in the studio with us, TSO cellist and resident thespian, Bob Clemens. Welcome, Bob.
Hi. Hi, guys.
Glad to have you back. We sort of make a habit, Bob, of bringing you in every season, having you do a little thespianing for us. And we have a great opportunity because you are involved in this concert that is coming up on Saturday. It's Saturday, October 19th, 8 o'clock p.m. at the Toledo Museum of Art, Peristyle. Bob, you are narrating this hilarious piece called The Composer is Dead, which the text of which is by Lemony Snicket, as we know him. And it involves the orchestra playing and the narration, a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But I also want to talk about some of the other music that's on this program because it's a fun October-themed program. You have The Sorcerer's Apprentice, Night on Bald Mountain. There's also a great piece by Michael Dougherty called The Tomb of Liberace. We'll explain that in a moment. But one of the other things that you're doing in this concert is the Toledo Symphony Youth Orchestras are doing this side-by-side thing, right, with the regular symphony. Can you tell us what that is and how that works?
Well, we're starting the second half of the concert with Modest Mussorgsky's Night on Bald Mountain, and that's a piece that I've had exactly the beginning.
Give you a little bit of background here.
And it's just a wonderful piece to be playing alongside with the youth orchestras because it just is so atmospheric, it's so exciting, it's going to be a driving, exciting tempo, and just I remember when I was playing this piece when I was about 16 years old, I just couldn't stop playing it, and I was driving everybody around me crazy with just these high violin trills and stuff. So I'm sure that that's been happening in houses all over Northwest Ohio.
And they have you to blame for that.
Oh, absolutely.
Or Mussorgsky to blame. I'm playing just a little bit of it in the background. I mean, it's something that we all have heard around Halloween time, thanks to films like Fantasia and things like that. I imagine the kids get pretty excited with being able to play this music and being able to play it next to, in some cases, their teachers as well. I have a little featurette that we put together. Felicia, who went around and collected this audio for you?
Actually, Jessica Fisher, who was our intern in the marketing department over the summer, helped us with this mini task. We just keep trying to rope her back into doing little things for us.
And Jessica's in the youth orchestra, right? She's in the Philharmonic?
Yes, she is an oboist.
Just like Felicia.
Yeah, there might be some connections there.
Wow.
So she grabbed some snippets of
some little interview audio.
Yeah, audio from our.
So these are four different students or
Mm-hmm.
members of the Toledo Symphony Youth Orchestra giving us a little bit of an idea of what it is that they do.
My name is Abby Kim, and I've been in TSYO for 4 years, and I played a violin, and my favorite memory from the side-by-side concert was last year when the Philharmonic got to perform with the TSO members at their Masterwork concert.
Hi, my name is Jessica Fisher. I play the oboe, and I've been in TSYO for 5 years now. My favorite moment in a side-by-side concert with the Toledo Symphony was when we performed Sleeping Beauty 5 years ago. It was my first time playing with the symphony, so I was really excited, and it didn't disappoint. I got to perform with my oboe teacher, which was super cool, and I loved the music that we were playing.
She's so cute.
Yeah.
My name is Aiden Markell. I play percussion. I've been in the TSYO for 2 years, and my favorite moment in the side-by-side concert was definitely playing along my mentor, Jordan Worth, in the Toledo Symphony Orchestra last year in the side-by-side playing Tchaikovsky, and
Hi, my name is Loa Cho. I play the cello. I've been in TSYO for 5 years. My favorite memory from the side-by-side was when we did Mambo from Bernstein's West Side Story in 2017. I had seen a video of it performed with the Venezuelan orchestra and brass ensemble. They were standing and spinning their instruments. So I was spinning my cello during a rehearsal with the symphony when it goes do 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 mambo. And Maestro Jobin saw me and she suggested that the whole cello section do it. So we did it for the concert. Mambo is such an exciting piece, and it was great to do something fun as a whole section. I could also tell how much the symphony valued our youth orchestra's input.
Nice little featurette there.
That's great.
Now, Bob, I got to ask you, you're a cellist. Have you ever been in the habit of spinning your cello around like that, like Loa talks about?
Yeah, every once in a while. The audience seems to enjoy it when we do it for Stars and Stripes Forever. That was it.
Okay. Yeah. So you spin your cello on the Stars and Stripes Forever
Sure.
when you're not playing, I assume.
Yeah, we've got like 4 beats worth of rest, and I keep trying. I keep trying for more and more revolutions.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so dangerous.
It was
It's kind of like ice,
was.
like ice skating when they do the double and triple and quadruple
You
axle
hold your
kind of
breath.
thing.
How many revolutions can you fit into 4-beat rest?
I can usually get 2 in. I went for 3 once and ended up with 2.5, and ended up bowing on the back of my cello.
Oh no.
That's a cell cow or an axle, right?
I don't know.
Wow.
I think it's an axle. I think an axle
right.
is a
That's fantastic.
extra half.
Well, we heard a little bit from members of the Toledo Youth Symphony Orchestra. Can we just tell folks briefly what that orchestra is and what purpose it serves?
So Toledo Symphony has 3 youth orchestras working within it. These are concert strings, symphonic, and philharmonic. And I think that it's one of the more exciting parts of our organization because you see all these wonderful students who are many times working alongside our own musicians in an educational capacity and now get to perform as an orchestra. And there's a great meme that goes around the internet every so often, which is, if we want this, and this is a professional orchestra, we have to have this, and it's a bunch of kids playing in an orchestra setup.
Yeah.
And it just really underscores our educational mission. So we always had a side-by-side on the youth orchestra calendar where the orchestra would play alongside them on the peristyle stage. But Alain Trudel, given his background in youth orchestras and performing in and then conducting in Canada the National Youth Orchestra there, really wanted to open the stage on our Masterwork series to the Philharmonic Orchestra. And we did that last year, which, as you heard, was the moment for some of these young musicians to not just have their heroes playing alongside them on the youth orchestra season, which already happens, but to join them during our flagship performance.
Yeah, what a great experience.
I think it's really worth pointing out just the immense caliber of musicians the young players get to work with. Wasim Hawari, the artistic director of the youth orchestras, he does a great job with the Philharmonic Orchestra. Matt Forte, who's the professor of orchestras at the University of Toledo, works with the Symphonic Orchestra. Betsy Cranston and Kathleen Schnerer. Actually, Kathleen was my student and went to the Toledo Symphony Youth Orchestra, so it kind of underscores that I've been in this community a little bit longer than I thought I would be. But she does an amazing, both of them do an amazing job with the concert strings. And then Joan Weiler, who's a member of our bassoon section, really kind of ropes all of this together and puts together things like this, as well as sectional rehearsals with principals and section members of the TSO. So
Felicia, we established that you are an oboist. Bob, you're a cellist.
Mm-hmm.
Did either of you play in any kind of youth orchestra when you were young?
Yeah, it was great. It was a great experience. Yeah.
Yeah, well, what was it?
It was the Lima Area Youth Orchestra.
Oh, okay. How old were you when you started with that?
12.
12 years old.
Seventh grade, yeah.
As a cellist, right?
Yep.
Is that when you started spinning the cello? Or
no, that came a few years later.
Just a few years later. Felicia, did you play in any kind of orchestra?
I did. I played in the Baldwin Wallace Youth Orchestra back in the day under
Out by
Director
Cleveland.
Laycock. Yes.
Yeah.
And we never did have a side-by-side, but I remember back to when I was at Rocky River City Schools, and we had this all-schools concert in the gym. And for the last number, the high schoolers were kind of mixed in with all like the 5th graders, 6th graders, 7th graders. And it was the highlight of every single year because the beginners had the opportunity to work with high schoolers, and we all looked up to them and we were like, wow, he plays the piccolo so wonderfully. And then the high schoolers really enjoyed being put back into, the younger ensembles because they, got to be the pro, It was just the highlight. I think they still continue that tradition, and it's very similar to what we provide side-by-side opportunities.
They can be the big oboist on campus, right?
Oh, yes.
Something like that. Well, it's a great opportunity for young folks to get involved. And also, I have to say, one other aspect of it is you've got all those proud parents out there who are going to be rushing to that concert and bringing family and friends. It helps to have a big support system in the form of an audience for all the young performers as well to participate. So this will be a really fun concert to enjoy, I think. And also for some of the other stuff that's on the program. We're going to talk about The Composer is Dead. We even have our own version of The Composer is Dead coming up in a little bit. But I want to mention some of the other works that are on the concert. Of course, I said Sorcerer's Apprentice, but there's this piece by Michael Dougherty. Michael Dougherty is sort of becoming like a regularly programmed composer here at Toledo Symphony. You did his Metropolis Symphony, you did that organ concerto. And now this is a great piece. Pianist Jeffrey Beagle, who is just a fantastic pianist. Has he been here before?
Actually, it's his first time.
Okay, so he'll make his TSO debut, the well-known pianist. I have to say I play from his Christmas album every year on WGTE, but he has some other great recordings out there as well. This is a really cool piece called Tombeau de Liberace, which means the tomb of Liberace. I can explain what that title means, but does somebody want to take the lead and tell us about it? Go ahead, Merwin.
Well, it's kind of a throwback to another throwback, Ravel's Tombeau de Couperin. Yeah, it's very meta. But one of the things that Dougherty chooses to do here is to use kind of that really small chamber-sized orchestra that Couperin used and that Ravel copied. And so this somehow fuses this kind of neoclassical era chamber concerto with Liberace and his kind of over-the-top style and these extraordinarily singing melodies, which we're supposed to do like cheesy vibratos and slides in and out of it. It's just entertaining, fun, super exciting.
I think entertaining and flashy are definitely buzzwords for that piece. I love the movements are like candelabra, rumba, and things like that. It's going to be a great performance. Okay, well, let's turn now to The Composer is Dead, starring Robert Clemens, who is here with us. You are the narrator for The Composer is Dead. Yeah. Can we give just sort of a little synopsis, not necessarily a synopsis, but just tell us what it is, what it's about?
Sure. It's an introduction to the orchestra. It's a new addition to the canon of introduction to the orchestra type pieces.
Oh, yeah.
It is essentially a murder mystery wherein all the members of the orchestra, all the instruments of the orchestras are the prime suspects. The composer is obviously dead from the title, and the inspector is called in to find the murderer or murderers and haul them off to jail.
Yeah. You play the role of the inspector as well? Or
yes, I play the role of the narrator, the inspector, the violins, the cellos,
you do all the voices,
the concert master, and pretty much everybody else.
So can I ask you, did you do it?
I did not do it. I did not do it.
Just to be clear, we're talking about murdering the composer.
That's right.
Yes, you did not murder the composer.
This is also just it's a hilarious piece. It's very entertaining, but there's so many wonderful music jokes embedded into it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those great moments where I think the music is part of the narrative in its own way.
It is.
Well, unfortunately, we couldn't include any of those music jokes in the podcast broadcast for copyright reasons, but we did make our own version, which is loosely adapted from Edgar Allan Poe's *The Raven*. This is called *The Composer is Dead Again*, and Bob here was so gracious as to provide the narration. So sit back and relax and get a little sampling of what Bob can do in front of a microphone. The composer is dead again.
Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary, writing many a quaint and curious volume of symphonic score, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as if someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis a visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. Open then I flung the doorway, when with quite a flash and forte in there stepped a stately maestro of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of something shady perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Mozart just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. "Maestro," said I, "thing of evil, maestro still, if man or devil, there can be only one reason you were tapping at my chamber door. It is said, like a bulldozer, you will murder the composer. On your podium of horror, tell me truly, I implore. Is that why you come before me? Tell me, I implore." Quoth the maestro, "Give me the score." Be those words our sign of parting, murderous fiend, I shrieked, upstarting. "Get thee back into the pit, or send thee out through the stage door. Leave no cuts or tempo changes, not a note he rearranges. Leave my manuscript unbroken, leave it be as was before. Take thy baton from my heart, and take thy form from off my door." Quoth the maestro, "Give me the score." And the maestro, unremitting, still is sitting on the pallid bust of Mozart just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a violist that is dreaming, while in spite of all my screaming, all my pleas he does ignore. So my life begins to leave me as I fall upon the floor, and the composer's voice is heard nevermore.
I have chills.
Excellent. So we have a little...
That was awesome.
Wow.
Well done, Bob.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was great.
And the fact that we put that together in about 20 minutes.
I am very impressed.
Yeah. So, obviously, Bob, you have a tremendous talent for narration and voices.
Well, thanks.
The first question that I would ask, I mean, aside from all of that, is how did you develop that talent? I mean, were you always somebody involved in speaking like that?
Oh, this started back when I was a little kid.
When you were born?
Almost, pretty much, almost when I was born. Yeah, just entertaining the cousins and stuff. Imitating like cartoon characters.
Really?
It used to drive my mom nuts. You can't make a living doing something like that. Well, how you like me now, Mom?
Yeah, right. I love it. Doing voices, spinning cellos. You've got the world is your oyster. Right?
I just want to know why you chose to make the composer sound like Igor. I mean, it's a very interesting characterization. I'm sorry, not the conductor, not the composer.
It comes from years of being in a section.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
Yeah.
And my only other question for you, Bob, would be, how do we know that this is your real voice that we're hearing right now?
Oh, that's an interesting question.
Are you sure it's really my voice?
Like, what is it when it's off?
This is me.
Yeah.
This is me.
You actually you don't sound like the conductor or when your natural voice is not the conductor.
No, not at all.
That would be funny. You should. Have you ever been tempted just to do fake voices when you meet somebody you've never met before?
No, but that's a great idea for the future.
You should do that. You should try that a week. And
check
let me
out
know.
at the grocery sometime and just have a fake voice and see if they believe that you're a Brit or a Scotsman.
Yeah.
That's how I'll know whether I've got the skills or not. If I can pull it off in real life.
You'll walk away really proud, and they'll just say, "Man, that guy is so strange. He was faking an accent."
That's right.
He must
really
be a
cool.
cellist.
That's right.
Well, we should mention the composer is dead. I mean, it's not really a spoiler so much because a lot of people have seen it.
You can't give away the
Wait.
ending.
No.
Well,
No,
we alluded
no.
to it a little bit in the version that we did. Okay, I won't give away the ending.
But the
I
jokes
mean,
are really great, though.
Yeah, the jokes are great.
They really poke fun at all of the stereotypes of all of the sections.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to know a little bit going into it.
Yeah.
But if you enjoy that sort of snarky humor that pokes fun at stereotypes, this is really awesome.
We don't do any of that here, do we?
No, none. I don't
It's
think
very
so.
fitting. So I think we should probably talk about Lemony Snicket. This is a children's book author who wrote many series of unfortunate events, which was adapted into a rather fascinating movie.
And a Netflix special.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys.
Yeah. So he wrote and I had no idea that he was as interested in the symphony.
Well, he's actually a chorister in the San Francisco area, and I think in that context is when he met the composer Nathaniel Stuckey. And I think one of the things that's great about this piece is that the wit of Snicket's text is really borne out in the music of Nathaniel Stuckey. It's very, very well written. It's just it's just superly well orchestrated. Superly is not the word I wanted to have.
I like that you were able to say the wit of Snicket's text without stumbling over
That's
the
like a tongue
But
twister.
super
but
was
then
very difficult.
superly.
Yes.
Or
adjacent
do
sentences. Well
a
done.
snick
Thank
of
you.
whippers.
But
Yeah. Welcome to my world.
Let's hear it 3 times fast.
Yeah.
I do
Well,
have a question, though.
go ahead.
I don't know if Merwin or Zach would have the answer to this, but I mean, so many of these pieces on the program are connected with cartoons, like this Barbara of Seville
Oh, yeah.
and the Mickey Mouse Sorcerer's Apprentice
Right.
connection. And a lot of those cartoons I've noticed recently, I mean, they're way different than they were in the past. And the Bugs Bunny and the Mickey Mouse of the past, they really played up like the good and the bad of just human nature, I've noticed. And I wonder if there's a connection with that as well. It's like a second layer. That's how all the program pieces got together.
Well, I think that one of the things that Alain was trying to do when he put together the program was to find a program that really forefronted humor. And it's actually a really tricky thing to do in classical music, because I think a lot of times humor is about defying expectation. And I think so when he chose this program, I think it's important to kind of have certain types of expectations going in. And I think that's why having an October program and you kind of have these like, we're going to walk in with this sort of like pseudo scary programmatic music. I think it's important to have that set up. And I think sometimes when you're going into a classical music concert, humor is not the expectation. But one of the great things about those cartoons is that they used such great symphonic music and put it in the service of laughs.
You know what I think is, you were talking about cartoons and music with cartoons. I think somebody should totally make a cartoon for the Tomb of Liberace. That would be a great cartoon as well.
That could be fun.
That would be fun. Well, we have a little bit of time left for the on-air version of the broadcast today, and I do have a quiz that I would like to get to. We can get a few questions out here, and then we can continue it on the podcast version. So this is my dead composer quiz. It is 10 different composers here, and
All of whom are dead.
all of whom are dead,
So there's no, I'm not dead yet.
and they died unnatural deaths. Okay,
Right.
so I'm not going to give you multiple choice. What I'm going to give you is multiple clues. So I'll give you a first clue, a second clue, and a third clue, and
So
you tell me who
do
it
we
is.
each get a kazoo to ring in?
Yeah. You don't have to. Let's don't say it after the first clue, okay? Let's get at least to the second clue, and then you can just jump in, right?
Okay.
So here's the first one. I was killed by the conductor. That's the first clue. Second clue. I was a favorite of the king since our dancing days.
I'm going to go with Luli.
That's right. Third clue was I stabbed myself in the foot. Of course, he was the conductor himself.
That's right.
Conducting his, I think it was his Te Deum or something like that. And it was a great big stab.
It ended up being a requiem.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Good one. So that one goes to Merwin. Okay. I lived 1 year longer than Mozart. I am buried next to the organ at Westminster Abbey. My wife locked me out of the house for staying out too late, and I caught pneumonia and died. Who is that?
Wow.
Baroque English composer.
Purcell?
Henry Purcell.
Nice.
Wow.
Good job.
I did not know that's how he died.
Well, that's one of the ways that he possibly died. But it's the juiciest story. So we're
It is.
gonna
It's
take
a
it
great
that's a good
story.
story.
Yeah.
Here's the next one. I was a disciple of Friedrich Nietzsche. I believed my music could bring about the end of the world. I died from a pimple.
How did you find these?
A little spelunking. And making some of it up, but no.
Oh, good.
Do you know who this is? When this person died, they left behind a piece of music they were working on that was going to have like visuals and dancing and all kinds of stuff, and it was going to be done in the Himalayas, and it was going to bring about the apocalypse, after
Wow.
which a new
This
race.
sounds like
Whoa.
Scriabin.
That's right.
No. Merwin for the win.
Merwin.
He does
Well-
have Win in his name. You know,
we have
Brad,
enough.
when you use Merwin as your source, and then he's also a contestant, it's just not fair.
Oh,
Merwinpedia.
Merwinpedia. I like that. It sounds vaguely scatological, but it's good. It's nice. Okay, here we go.
Always references to previous episodes. Nice.
I died on Christmas Eve in 1935. This is the quiz. I'm
Not
going on
you.
with the quiz, right?
Okay, thank you.
I died on Christmas Eve in 1935. My wife hastened my death. I died from an insect bite.
This is
Horrible. That sounds like a horrible way to go.
Who?
Alvin Berg.
Alvin Berg. Wow, Zach, good job. Is that the one you looked up?
That's the only one I know. That's it.
Was it a mosquito?
It was
'Cause
a
those
bee.
are the worst.
It was
Yeah.
a bee sting.
But his wife tried to lance
Yeah.
his boil or whatever it was, his wound, and ended up giving him blood poisoning.
Nice.
The best laid plans.
I mean, if that ain't romance, I don't know what is.
That's right.
Here, let me get
Here,
that
honey,
for
let
you.
me just grab that boil of yours.
Ew.
I'm going to lance it.
Stop.
Okay.
I don't need to disinfect this knife. It's going to be
Continuing.
just fine.
Gross.
Yes. Okay. I am known as a founder of the French violin school. I was stabbed to death. My murder was never solved, although, and here's the wife thing again, they suspected my ex-wife.
Wow.
Does anybody know?
The founder of the French violin school.
His last name starts with an L.
Oh, Leclerc?
Leclerc, Jean-Marie Leclerc.
Wow.
From The
I did
Violinist.
not know
Yeah.
You should go on Jeopardy.
Usually they don't give hints.
I know, but I feel like
His
you would
last name
win.
starts with an L.
Trying to think of
We'd
that.
root for you.
And you also have to form your answers in the form. Wait, state your answers in the form of a question.
I'm doing
right?
charades. That's how I do the answers.
That's much better for radio. Okay, there's only a few of these left. While I was alive, people considered me the greatest pianist next to Chopin and Liszt. I was the first classical composer to incorporate Jewish folk melodies into my work. And finally, I was killed by an umbrella stand. For many years, the rumor was that I was killed by a bookcase while reaching for a copy of the Talmud on the top of the bookcase, but later it was found that he died from an umbrella stand.
What is that?
Anybody got that? A little bit harder. Again, like Jean-Marie Leclerc, this is a French composer with a hyphenated first name.
Wow.
Charles Valentin Alcan.
Oh, wow. What a
Yeah, that goes to me.
you totally win
Well,
that
the light bulb went over Merwin's head,
Yeah.
and then we just all looked at him.
Can I ask what the umbrella stand did to murder him?
It was a big umbrella stand. It fell on top of him. And I mean, he may have
Wait,
had a
I'm
heart attack
sorry.
and pulled it down on top of him.
An
or,
umbrella stand. This is like the little can that you put your
No.
wet umbrella in.
That's what I pictured. I was like, wow.
No, like a great big wooden structure that you hang the umbrella on. Kind of thing.
More like an umbrella
Yeah.
rack.
They
Like
they
a
don't
coat
make them
rack?
anymore.
I see,
Right.
because
Well,
they're
I mean,
deadly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Well, his
All those
work is
lawsuits.
performed all the time in Montreal, but I always assumed he was Canadian.
Maybe he is. I don't know.
Well, so I
only
got
know what I
thrown.
learned from Merwinpedia. Okay.
Do you have to pay a subscription for that?
Yeah. You have to pay it in
Canadian dollars, so it's very cheap.
Canadian dollars. You beat me to it. Okay, I dropped dead while dancing at a party in St. Petersburg. And here's a big clue. I received a posthumous Tony Award. You could say it was fate. And I was a well-known chemist by profession.
Borodin.
Borodin, yes.
Borodin.
Alexander Borodin, who
Of course.
wrote the music that was used in the 1950s musical Kismet.
Yes.
They awarded him a Tony Award. Of course, he'd been dead for some 70 years or so.
But for a little tiny
Very
bit,
old
I
solo.
thought that I'd assumed St. Petersburg, Russia, but then you said the Tony Award, and I started thinking very quickly about Floridian composers, and then, yeah.
Yeah, I threw
Got a
you
little
off, didn't I?
distracted.
Okay, but that
Name
goes
one
to
Floridian composer.
Good question.
That's tough.
What's that about?
Good,
Jimmy Buffett.
good question.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said George Gershwin. I was thinking maybe in the winters.
Man.
Okay. I was a fan of King Arthur. I even wrote an opera about him. I was the first composer to use the celesta with the orchestra. This is true. You may not think it's true, but it's true. And finally, I was killed by a brick wall.
Chausson.
By running into it? Like, how do you do
Chausson.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Ernest Chausson. He rode his bicycle downhill and hit a brick wall.
Ooh.
But he actually used
accident.
he used the celesta in the orchestra 3 years before Nutcracker by Tchaikovsky. It's music for a French version of Shakespeare's play The Tempest.
So I'm just noticing that these French composers meet very miserable ends.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're
Yeah.
if you're a composer and you find yourself in Paris right now, you might want to move to Lisbon or something.
And change your name, right? Don't be all Frenchy.
And
Yeah,
wear
look both ways before you cross the street.
and wear bubble wrap.
Yeah, safety first, guys. Ooh.
Last question. And speaking of French composers, here we go again. I was legally blind since birth. I died exactly the way I said I wanted to. And I died while playing the organ at Notre Dame Cathedral. Also, no relation to Jules Verne. Anybody got a clue? This one's a little hard. That's why I saved it for the end. That is
Well, I think
organist.
his name is either Jules or Verne.
Verne is
So-
close. Verne is
Oh,
close.
Vierne.
Vierne.
V-I-E-R.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zach.
Good job. We'll give Zach half a point. We'll split it between Merwin and Zach. Louis Vierne, he was giving an organ recital at Notre Dame, and he dropped dead, but his foot got stuck on a low E flat. So
Oh,
the
that's
pedal,
how pedal points were invented.
Oh, God.
So he dropped, but his foot was still playing the organ note through the cathedral. People were like,
Did
wow,
anyone know?
performance
How
art.
long?
I think they knew something was up
That
when he
nervous
fell
or,
off the
or
bench.
down.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So, and he said that's how he had wanted to
With an E flat.
to die.
Yeah.
Well,
No, he just kept going back to Notre Dame every day and playing for 10 hours,
Yeah.
hoping that
he
it would happen.
drop dead.
Like, will it be this note
Yeah.
or this note?
I think maybe
His tempo really
Wagner,
started to sag as well, I'm told.
Yeah. I think Wagner picked up on that E flat and started his ring cycle down with that, because it's all E flat triads, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's my musicological theory. I'll have to go check the Merwinpedia and see if that's correct or
Yeah,
not.
did you just type in dead French composers into the Merwinpedia? Because I think that's the only brain space you got.
Something like that.
Yeah.
No, it just, for some reason, somebody should do a study on this. It came out that the French composers throughout history have had a higher incidence of unusual, unnatural deaths than composers from other countries. I don't know what the reason may be behind that.
How did Berlioz die? It seems like he would have had a really weird death.
Yeah,
I mean, he had a really weird life. So
Yeah, he did.
Opium overdose?
yeah, you would think, right?
something like that. Yeah. Well, we can make that up and bring it in next time. We'll talk about Berlioz. Well, that does it for our broadcast today. I do want to mention that the concert is happening this Saturday, October 19th. It's at 8 o'clock p.m. at the Toledo Museum of Art, Paris style. Alain Trudel at the podium. Pianist Jeffrey Beagle, our own Robert Clemens here, is providing narration for Lemony Snicket's The Composer is Dead. That's sort of the centerpiece of the program, but a lot of great stuff before that. Barbara Seville Overture, Sorcerer's Apprentice, Night on Bald Mountain, featuring the Toledo Symphony Youth Orchestras playing side by side with the TSO. And then also that great new piece by Michael Dougherty. I say new, I mean it's new to us. the Tombeau de Liberace, or the Tomb of Liberace. So a lot of stuff to look forward to. You can call up the box office, get more information at 419-246-8000 or ToledoSymphony.com. This program is a production of WGTE Public Media and is generously underwritten by the Rita Barber Kern Foundation in collaboration with our sponsor, the Toledo Symphony. You can download episodes of this program as a podcast by going to our website at wgte.org/lab. You can also subscribe to us through your podcast app of choice, including Apple and Google Podcasts. And don't forget, you can check out all the upcoming events at the Symphony by visiting their website at ToledoSymphony.com and their various social media outlets on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. My thanks to Zach Vassar, Merwin Sue, Felicia Canny, and Bob Clemens. I'm Brad Cresswell, and you've been listening to Toledo Symphony Lab from FM 91.